the genie's out of the bottle and there's not really any opportunity for us to put it back. AI voices aren't coming, they're here. And for professional voice artists, the question isn't if the industry will change, but how fast.
These offers, they're wanting to take your voice forever, do whatever they want to do with it, and they're going to give you $600 for that, which is garbage.
But what happens when the right offer comes from the right company, one that actually protects the artists? Today, we're joined by Tawnya Rawlinson, a voice actor whose voice was cloned by Epidemic Sound, to become part of their new AI voice library. In this episode, she opens up about the ethics.
You know, it is taking some jobs. It is taking some entry-level jobs from human voiceovers.
The contracts.
I am always suspicious when I receive offers for text-to-speech, simply because 99% of them are garbage.
And the uncomfortable reality of knowing you don't have full control over the projects.
And you don't have any control over what they're going to do with it. There's no safeguards. There's usually no contract. So that has been my experience with text-to-speech.
In spite of all that, Tawnya took a chance with Epidemic Sound. We'll talk about how she got discovered, how she recorded her AI voice, and what this all means for the future of creative work. How did it feel emotionally when you knew that your voice would be synthesized and then used in ways that you might not directly control? This episode is not sponsored by Epidemic Sound, but if you'd like to support the channel, there is an affiliate link in the description below to get a free trial to Epidemic Sound today. Now, let's jump into the episode with Tawnya Rawlinson. The way that we connected, you actually reached out and messaged me on YouTube about the video that I did on AI voices from Epidemic Sound and Artlist and comparing those. Both of them tend to have really good sounding AI voices, but I want to jump into how you got your start there. But before we do that, I want to have a little comparison between your introduction. So I'd like you to introduce yourself. We worked on a little script before we jumped in here. So if you can do your introduction, we can hear how you would actually perform this. And then we're going to listen to your AI voice on Epidemic Sound to hear its rendition.
Sure. Okay, you want me to go now?
Absolutely.
I'm Tawnya Rawlinson from Castle Rock, Colorado, and I'm a professional voice artist. Some fun facts about me are that I'm a mother of 4, I am terrified of spiders, and I can't swim.
Amazing. That sounds great. You're hired. I love it. Let's listen to your AI voice.
Okay.
I'm Tawnya Rawlinson from Castle Rock, Colorado, and I'm a professional voice artist. Some fun facts about me are that I'm a mother of 4, I'm terrified of spiders, and I can't swim.
It's interesting. It sounds like you're trying to do a much more professional corporate version of your introduction is my take on it. I don't know. What are your thoughts? I'm very curious about your thoughts. This is your voice. You listen to it a lot more than I've listened to it.
Yeah. Well, you know, I was curious how I would sound actually, because I can do different inflections. And if you noticed when I was speaking naturally, I changed the script a little bit. I am terrified of spiders. And so my AI voice followed the script. I mean, I could follow that. And the fun facts about me, for example, that's my voice. I think that was
That
me.
sounded very spot on to me. It was a little uncanny. Fascinating.
Yeah. I think just different inflections, but the same voice, which is interesting.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to jump into the mechanics of what the process was to record your voice in a way that they were able to recreate it for all of us using that. But to jump in before we ever get there, how did you get selected or how did you apply for? What was your process of starting to work with Epidemic Sound and how did that opportunity come about?
Yeah, Epidemic just found me. I got an email one day, and so I asked them. I think they may have found my profile somewhere, maybe from Voices. I'm not sure where they found me, a website, something. I'm out there. And so it was just a job offer, and it showed up in my email. It was a casting company from Denmark.
A casting company from Denmark. Okay, interesting. Yeah. I always forget that Epidemic Sound is an international company. So that makes sense that they would come from Denmark. So they reached out to you, and what were your first thoughts when they reached out to you about this? Did it feel like a scam? Did you get excited right away? Were you nervous? What were your thoughts?
It did not feel like a scam. I get all kinds of offers for text-to-speech AI training models. And immediately the offer from Epidemic was just different. It was professional. Honestly, the first thing that attracted me was that they were going to compensate me very fairly. When you get scam offers, the compensation is garbage. And so I saw that and I thought this might be worth looking into. And then the more that I read from them, I thought, yeah, let's maybe see what this is all about. So, yeah.
That's really cool. So from the moment that you said, let's explore this, to actually recording, what was that time frame like?
I don't know. Maybe it was pretty fast. Maybe a couple of weeks when I said, yeah, I'm interested and let's set this up. And they wanted to do a live directed recording session with me. And so we set that up, and gosh, I can't remember everything else that happened in between there. I was receiving scripts and talking, and there were contracts and et cetera, et cetera. So
sure. The paperwork stuff, which is always the most interesting part of all of this. So.
Well, it's important.
It is important, indeed. So then I want to just kind of let you go for a minute and tell us about the process of recording your voice. You said it was it in person? How many sessions? What were all the things that they had you do? Very curious about this whole story.
Yeah, well, I was actually really hoping that it would be in person because they would fly me to Stockholm, which I was all about. I should probably come to your place and record. No, I used my own studio here, and they set up a 4-hour live directed recording session with me. And then they gave me 2 scripts that I was to prepare before then. And I think I had probably a week to prepare those scripts. They were long and they were incredibly boring. So that was new to me. And I was to read one script in a conversational tone and one script in a narrative tone. And they were different stories. And so, leading up to that, I was just preparing. What actually happened on the day of the recording session is that we got our times crossed. And so they're, I think, 8 hours ahead in Sweden. So I ended up sitting in front of my screen going, where are they? Where are they? And they had been on, I think, 2 hours previously. So we missed each other.
Oh, shoot.
So, I had emailed and said, I'm here. Finally, they just said, you know what, just record it. Just give us what you've got. And, if we need to re-record or whatever, we'll do that.
Yeah.
So I ended up just recording on my own, which was nice. A 4-hour-long live directed session, I think, would be a marathon.
Yeah.
So, and I've never been asked to do one of those since. That's a long time.
That is a really, 4 hours of anything is a long stint for sure. So
Exactly. So I was actually very grateful that they allowed me to do that. And so I just took a day and I recorded both scripts, and I was able to take breaks and walk away from it. And and all I can say about those scripts is that they were boring. They needed me to. It was a story, but I had to speak the words 1 through 100 sequentially, and they had scattered that about within this story. And
oh my gosh,
not written by the best of authors.
Sure,
but it
Did
gave
it
me
feel like
work.
AI maybe had written this?
I don't know. It was very deliberately written, so that I could get the right words in, where they needed them. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thinking about needing to record all of the different sounds so that any word or any phrase could be pulled together. That would be a very challenging process to figure that out. So I'm glad other people are figuring that out so that artists and creators like us can do the work and let the machines do the rest, right?
Exactly. I'm glad I just had to read it because I can't imagine writing for that. Yeah.
So it took you all day rather than a 4-hour session.
It did.
Did you have to read it multiple times, or did you have to read it in multiple different conversational styles, or did you really end up just having 2 audio files that you sent them at the end of the process?
Yeah, they just wanted 2. So one conversational style. And of course, as an artist, you can do a million different conversational styles.
Right.
So I just picked one and they happened to like it.
Got it.
And again, with the narrative, I just chose one and figured if they want me to do another one, I'll do another one. As it turned out, they liked it. So I sent them 2 files. And yes, of course, you make mistakes and go back and fix them, et cetera, et cetera. So that's, it takes a while. But
Right.
I'm glad I took my time and it was fine.
Yeah, absolutely. So only 2 audio files. This was something I was very curious about because on the site, we have the option to switch between English, German, Spanish from Spain, Spanish from Latin America, French, Korean, and Dutch. So we can add different accents for you.
Yeah.
And I was curious if all the voiceover artists were coming in and doing these renditions, but it sounds like their AI processing was able to manipulate that for you, or did you? Yeah. Okay.
Oh no, I could never. I would never attempt. Yeah. So yeah, the AI does that for me, and it's fascinating. It's actually really cool the things they're able to do. Yeah.
Let's see what you sound like with your introduction in a French accent.
Okay. This is fun, Silas. I haven't done this yet.
I'm Tawnya Rollingson from Castle Rock, Colorado, and I'm a professional voice artist. Some fun facts about me are that I'm a mother of 4. I'm terrified of spiders, and I can't swim.
Not hearing the French very much.
I didn't hear French, no.
Let's try Spanish.
Okay.
I'm Tawnya Rollingson from Castle Rock, Colorado, and I'm a professional voice artist. Some fun facts about me are that I'm a mother of 4. I'm terrified of spiders, and I can't swim.
Okay, I heard that.
That I could hear a difference.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Would you be able to you said you would not be able to replicate this. You're not a accents person.
I can practice accents and do them in audiobooks when needed.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to put you on the spot for that. Don't worry. We're not going to try that today. But I do find it interesting. And one thing I will say, when we say we're not hearing the French come through, I still have to highlight this. Voices are in beta. And I think that that's evident. Some things work really well. Sometimes they don't work as well. I'm interested to see where this goes because you think back 2 years ago, this technology was pretty much hot garbage. Yeah. There was not you could use an AI voice and you're like, oh, that's just a computer. We all know 100% that was recorded by a computer. And it was so obnoxious. Oh, yes, absolutely. It was very TikTok vibes. It was its own thing. Mm-hmm. It was meant for social media, not for professional work. But I think that, with this being in beta and knowing that there's an opportunity for the creators like you to be able to get compensated for your work ongoing, correct? Am I understanding that?
Yeah.
Okay. It makes me feel more confident, one, in using this with clients or other projects to say, yes, let's do this. We can use this voice, and they have an opportunity to choose a few people, especially when they're working on smaller budgets. Mm-hmm. The hard part will be getting pronunciations to come through properly for several different words, and that'll take some experimenting. But compared to costs working with a voiceover artist directly, it might be a more beneficial option for people with really small budgets, thinking nonprofits and those sorts of things. So
yeah.
This, I think, is a good point for us to segue into talking about the ethical perspective on AI voices in general. Mm-hmm. And I guess, how did it feel emotionally when you knew that your voice would be synthesized and then used in ways that you might not directly control? This obviously was, I'm sure, something that you thought about immediately when they approached you. What were your thoughts and how did you wrestle with that question?
I am always suspicious when I receive offers for text to speech, simply because 99% of them are garbage. The compensation is so below what it should be. So the artist is just not even remotely being paid what they're worth. These offers, they're wanting to take your voice forever, do whatever they want to do with it, and they're going to give you $600 for that, which is garbage. And you don't have any control over what they're going to do with it. There's no safeguards. There's usually no contract. So that has been my experience with text to speech.
Yeah.
So when I first saw Epidemic AI, I thought, I don't know. But again, when I opened the email and saw that I was going to be compensated appropriately for the scope of the project. And then as I read, they just had built in wonderful, wonderful protections for me as an artist. I was told a basic idea of what my voice could be used for. I know what their clientele is. Epidemic Sound is a large, reputable company. And so I basically already had an idea of who their clientele are. They also, Epidemic employs moderators on their platform. So I knew immediately that my voice was not going to be used for hate speech or racism or pornography. And that went a long way to allay any fears as well. So
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then, and then they assured me my privacy is protected, my data is protected. Of course, a voice can be stolen quite easily, but they will do everything that they can to protect my voice as well. So, once I read all of that, I felt very, very protected and safe. And then, of course, they're a big company. I wanted to be a part of what they were doing.
Yeah. So I know that you've kind of touched on this a little bit, and I don't need specific numbers, but I am curious if you could just talk a little bit more in detail about the process of being compensated through Epidemic Sound and the inner workings and how that's structured.
Sure. I was paid upfront for my recording session, and that being, and they were really fair to me because they paid me for a live directed recording session, even though it was not. Yeah, so I appreciated that. They were very good to me there. So every artist is paid upfront for that recording session. And then the AI voice begins to live on the platform. And then I am paid in perpetuity as long as my voice is being used. And that's the big difference, by the way, between a reputable company and a garbage one, is that they'll offer you your $700 and then take your voice and run. So Epidemic will continue to pay me as long as my voice is used. What that is a bonus pool. It's split between the 20, I think, actors that are on the platform right now. We all take our portion of that depending on how often our voices are used. So it's a royalty share, and that happens as long as we're on the platform. So that's where we're so well treated, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. That is not dissimilar, I would imagine, to how the musicians are compensated
I would think
for
so.
their songs being on the platform as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is incredibly fair, yeah. And there is a lot of, we hear about it in Hollywood. They're trying to really figure out this AI thing so they can start churning out movies as quickly as possible and with as little overhead as possible. And there are a lot of companies that are not being fair with the way that they are training AI models. That was a big push in the last actors strike and writers strike, that AI was not going to come in and be trained on their pre-existing works and be able to take over what they've been doing without them being compensated.
Right.
And I think that is an incredibly important thing. And it sounds like you were able to do your research and dig into what Epidemic Sound was doing, and they presented a really fair offer to make it worth your while. And I was hesitant, and even in my video, I said I'm hesitant to continue using this a ton because I want to make sure that voiceover artists are not disappearing. Because there is a lot more authenticity, I feel like, in a live human recorded voiceover still. And it's important for us to capture that, and for us to, it's going to help people connect with the content better. I don't know. I think that there's not really a substitute yet. Will there be someday? I don't know. There might be a substitute for all of us someday. And when that day comes, AI, I just want to say I've always liked you.
Right? You're my best friend.
Always and forever. So,
so if I can just offer, while we're on the subject of humanity and AI, that's the other thing that drew me to Epidemic, is that not only do they allow my humanity as an artist to exist, but they support it and promote it. And I don't know if you're aware that the voice artists on Epidemic, we also maintain a live human profile on their page. So you can use my AI voice, and if it matches your budget, then use my AI voice. But my profile is there, and if you want to work with me as a human being, then they promote that as well.
Oh, fascinating.
And so,
I did not know that. This is
Isn't that great?
Me not doing quite enough research on this. I appreciate you telling me that. That is, I'll be sure to promote that wherever I can, especially with client work. And I think that that is a really unique opportunity for me to say, here's what your script sounds like with this person's voice. And they go, I really like that. Can we make these changes? And I'll say, let's reach out to them to work with them directly. Because I think that we could get a handful of different versions and you could have some direction in there and really make this as solid as you want it to be.
Yeah.
I think that's a really unique voiceover case. Have you had people reaching out to you yet? I know it's only been up for a few weeks now.
Yeah, not yet. So, I'm waiting for that. But I do love that it's just from a business model, that is such a great fusion for me because my AI voice can be used and I will be compensated for that. But then it frees up my time as a human being to work on other creative projects where I can collaborate with human beings. So, I feel like I'm getting the best of both worlds there, and Epidemic found a way to fuse that. So again, I just feel really supported by their platform.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that with me. I will be keeping that on my radar as we have more client projects over the next couple of years. So I think that's a really nice place to wrap up our conversation on AI voices and the ethics of AI, because obviously we can solve that very quickly in a 30-minute conversation.
Absolutely.
We've settled it. It's all done.
Yep, we're done.
Which is great. But thinking now for other creators and other voiceover artists who might be approached for AI work, what advice would you give them? And is there anything that you wish you would have known beforehand working with Epidemic Sound?
I've been really lucky, I think, in that I have not been burned by an AI text-to-speech scam. And that's because I've depended on other individuals in the business who have warned us all as well. So watch for that compensation. If they're not offering to compensate you in perpetuity as long as your voice is being used, you're being burned. And so that's, for me, that's been the number one red flag is here's a few $100s, I'm going to take your voice and go. Run from that. That's bad news. And, you'll see them all over the place. Other than that, I'm not sure that I would have any other advice. Watch for that. They're out there.
Yeah. Yes. That sounds like great advice. There are scammers around every corner, and certainly doing your research about the company and not just accepting the offer, I think is also good advice, regardless of the industry that you're in or who's reaching out to you about potential projects. Yeah. And it sounds like you were familiar with Epidemic Sound before. Had you used Epidemic Sound for any of your own projects or client projects? Because I know that background music can be mixed into audiobooks and your YouTube channel and social media.
I had not yet. And so, and one of the really nice perks that they give me is that I now have a membership. So,
nice.
All those incredible musicians are available to me. And so absolutely, now I'm using them, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any other closing thoughts about AI or voiceover work before we jump into a wrap up?
Overall, advice is to make sure that you're happy in your life and your work and your faith, because that is when you create the best. I think that jumping into voiceover work, we talked about this, it takes so much discipline and so much hard work. And, there are days that you just really don't want to go into that studio and churn out 30 auditions.
Yeah.
But, you stay disciplined and you keep with it, because it will pay off. And so, and even with AI jumping in there and, it is taking some jobs. It is taking some entry-level jobs from human voiceovers. But you keep up with your craft and keep developing yourself. There is room for every voice. There's room. So, you just keep with it and you'll make it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. That's great advice and a really good outlook, I think, because the genie's out of the bottle and there's not really any opportunity for us to put it back. And so I think that those creators who are able to embrace the technology changes are going to be the ones who are pushing forward. And I think that there is an opportunity for us to be frustrated about the change. And I think that is that's normal. And I think that that is a very valid response to have.
Right.
But I think that just being angry is not going to change your situation.
Right. Right.
Or the
And
situation
besides,
in general.
anger
So,
stymies your creativity. So don't do that.
oh, surely. Yes, for sure. Yes. So to wrap up here, what's next for you? Do you have any big projects on the horizon that you can share with us?
Yeah, right. Coming around the corner. I'm finishing up an audiobook, but I just signed on as a new narrator with Tantor Publishing, and they're a huge audiobook publisher. And so I'm really, really excited for that opportunity. I think a lot of really great stuff is going to come my way.
Very cool.
And truly, truly audiobooks are my joy. So really, really excited to do that. And I'll have an audiobook with them coming out in probably a month.
Congratulations. That's very exciting. Very exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Where can people find you if they are looking to Epidemic Sound, you've already said, but where are places people can reach out to you if they want to keep up with your work or if they're looking to hire you for projects?
Yeah, go find me on my website. I'm TawnyaRawlingson.com. And I've got my portfolio there, and I'd love to chat.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for your time today and for just a wonderful conversation. It's been great getting to know you and look forward to more conversations in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you, Silas. This was a lot of fun.